Welcome to the Sorta Dead podcast with Aaron and Aldo. You may notice that we have a change in cast today. We have Jay as our surprise guest for today's episode, which is relationships.
Well, welcome, Jay. Welcome.
Yay!
Okay, so today is going to be about relationships. I wanted to talk about this heavy, this kind of topic. And I want to start off with asking you, Jay, what do if you could explain what is love without inserting the Night of the Roxbury thing there, what would you think? What would you describe love to be, man?
Oh man. Okay, so the thing is, at least with this type of topic, it's a very subjective thing, right? But I think, at least from my experience and looking at how everyday people are at least how I see people express their feelings with love, there's a lot of things that go into it. I think love is an action rather than a feeling, right? Because in my personal opinion, someone could tell you that they love you, and to me, words don't mean nothing at all. I'm one of those people that I have to really do stuff for you, right? So my love language is acts of affection. I can do things. I like going above and beyond that natural call for people.
Just to insert myself here, ladies, we have a guy who knows about love languages. That is a plus.
Love languages, Jesus.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. I know a lot of people whose love language is acts of service. Especially from my opinion, from my standpoint, it's a dangerous love language because I've been used, manipulated plenty of times. I'm damn near used to it by now.
You sound like you're describing yourself to be like a condom or some shit. Jesus.
One and done.
Oh my God.
But it's love is an action that you do. Because I think when you love someone, you do things that you wouldn't do for just anyone. Right?
I see. Yeah. So you got that special someone. I feel you.
Home girl.
Yeah, overlord over there. What is your description on love? Let's get some female perspective.
Well, we've talked about this a few times. I think my definition of love would be the moment where you feel like you have more, when it feels like it's not just you anymore. When you feel that your soul is connected with somebody on a level that's more than just physical and mental. It's also a spiritual thing as well. When you feel like you can't, well, not necessarily that you can't live without them, but just why would you want to?
You just negated the whole entire what do you call those people that don't believe in anything again? The fucking what do you call them?
I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure either.
The people who don't believe in anything. They have no religious belief. They have no...
Oh, atheists?
Yeah, you just completely isolated Wow, I couldn't fucking...
Okay, so, I mean, it's not so much about a religious experience. I feel like human beings, regardless of what your religious beliefs are all spiritual beings. Okay, maybe, atheists don't believe that, but I do believe that we as our beings are more than just the physical form. So I feel as if when you're in love with somebody and true love, your spiritual being is sort of molded or melded with that person. And you just feel as if you can live the rest of your life without anybody, But it's that moment, why would I want to? Why would I want to not be here on this planet with this one person?
So you feel like somebody being there, your significant other, would enhance whatever experiences you're gonna go through in life?
Exactly. The person that you're with is they enhance what you already are. They don't make you, they don't break you, they don't make you a new, they say that when you're in love with somebody and when there's your true, either your twin flame or your soulmate, they bring out the best in you while also making you want to improve on yourself for the better.
Wow, that was an interesting thing.
Okay, so I have a question, right? Because we talked about this a little bit after getting to know you just a little bit and stuff like that.
Let me put my 2 cents in.
Oh yeah, he never told us what he thought about love. We completely forgot about Aaron.
Aaron can love. Hold up.
Bro, no, I think honestly for me, when when you talk about something that has when you talk about love and shit like that, I think that love is something that is very tailored to what you perceive it to be. Like everybody has their own perception of love, whether it be based on like because they've seen it in movies or they read about it in like fairy tales or some shit. Depends on where you saw or where your exposure of love started. Early on, people like their earliest exposure to love is normally their parents, or that's what it's supposed to be. And based on whenever you got exposed to, that's how you're going to perceive it. For example, like if you grew up watching Disney movies, you have a very romantic view on what love should look like or even be.
So I have a question, Aaron, right? So like you and Sarah, how did you know that you actually like loved her? Like what was one thing, or maybe the day that you came to terms that you're like, I really love this person right here. I this is going to be my last. This is who my forever girl is going to be.
I walked into the room and I farted. That was my way of that was such a man's as well. No, that's when you really know, bro. When you could fart in front of your significant other or like get comfortable with like popping pimples, that's when you know that you're fucking in love. No, in all honesty and on seriousness, I think the easiest way for me to know that I was in love with her was just like life felt so much better with her. Like even through the hardships, it felt so much better with her than it would have ever been without her. And I've experienced so many hardships when it comes to love, as most people do nowadays, because love is pretty hard to find nowadays, especially with that whole entire with my concept of what love is. The moment that I saw her, the moment that I got to speak with her, the moment that I got to know her personally, like we clicked. We clicked, into this day, like we're going extremely strong. And that's something that I appreciate more than she could honestly ever realize. our fucking overlord over there is like touching her heart, like, oh, you see, that's what I'm saying. Like I was based heavily on Disney. Like,
the reason why I had like that awe moment, I was just like, shit, I am never going to experience that.
he just showed us why we're single. He set the bar for relationships.
Hold on, okay. Again, I don't want people to base their love off of my thing because it works for me, right? But everybody has their own interpretation. Like my whole entire thing, and that's why I asked you guys, what is love? Because my next question would have been, well, what do you do while you're in love? Are you inclusive? Are you exclusive? What I mean by that is, I'm a very inclusive person. So I don't really believe in that whole entire like, oh, we need space, we need distance from each other. No matter what I'm doing, I'm going to include Sarah in. And there's always going to be a door opened to her. For example, like take something as simple or like a scenario where I want to go read a book. Like if I go read a book, and I go to the fucking couch to read a book because Sarah's watching TV. If she wants to come to the living room and just chill there with me, I'm not going to tell her no. I'm going to always leave that door open. I'm always going to extend that olive branch where she can join me. Like just because I'm doing something doesn't mean it has to exclude her.
You want to talk? Oh, okay. So that actually brings up a really cool story actually about this girl I dated.
Story time! Yay! I love Jay's stories.
Man, because I like, and this is actually answers your question if you was gonna ask it, because I was one of those type of people where it was like, I was in a relationship, but I kind of wanted to do things alone. Like if it didn't call for a second person, don't go there.
Jesus.
Yeah, I was taught to growing up.
Fucking hell.
But this one girl, I remember she was clingy, very clingy.
You said the C word.
Yeah, nothing. And I understand the word clingy does have some harmful stigmatization with it, so I don't mean it in a bad way. Absolute sweetheart till this day. She always wanted to be up under me. And as much as I hated it, I had to come to the realization that, this is who this person is. Right. And she knew I hated it. And to her, she tried her best not to do it. But I realized that, you know, if it was like, what's the point of being in a relationship if she's not going to be with you all the time?
You know, and that's also goes into what you talked about earlier about love languages. Like if she wanted to be with you all the time, her love language could have been quality time.
Yeah.
You know, she just wanted to be with you all the time. And I relate to that because, you know, I feel as if I embody all of the love languages in some type of way, and it kind of shifts depending on the relationship I'm in. But there have definitely been times where I wanted more quality time and I wanted to just express my love in a very, you know, just
gooey
close
way.
Yeah. Mushy way. And it's just like it wasn't always reciprocated well, or it wasn't always taken well, because, you know, that's not how everyone, you know, jives, you know, in relationships.
Which brings me perfectly to my first piece of advice for those of you who are trying to look for a relationship but are having a very hard time finding one. You have to find somebody that understands the love that you are looking for. You can't get into a relationship with somebody that has a different perspective on what love should be. Take somebody like Jay. He is more, you know, solid. What would be like the correct expression here?
Like, what do you mean?
Like you're more about like, you know, you're more by yourself or more like alone, like you need your space and type of shit.
So from the story that I just told about the whole idea of me, you know, enjoying my alone time, I changed. I do like the quality time. That's not my love language, but I do like the quality time of spending with the other person.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about like, you know, there's a specific word for these. I'm trying to find the word that fits perfectly to that kind of thing. Solidary, I guess, like somebody who's more like, you know, they want to be by themselves or tend to themselves type of shit.
Asocial?
Yeah. No, I would say maybe asocial. Asocial would be a good word.
Okay, then you have somebody like Shannon that's more like, you know, hey, let's try to merge together and do things together. There should be no like, you know, there should be nothing preventing us from doing that. So you feel me? So yeah. Advice number one, find somebody that speaks the love language or, you know, does the things, understands love the way that you want to understand love.
I don't think they need to speak the love language, right? Because everyone's different. I do mainly believe there needs to be an understanding, right? Most of my relationships, they're the quite opposite of who I am, right? And I love them because if the other person is willing to not deal, but understand and give the person a try, I think there's like so much more to flourish with that relationship, and it can build some really strong and healthy bonds with the person. Not to negate what you're saying, you're absolutely right, but I do feel that, you know, you don't need to have like the same love language as your partner in order for you to grow successful with the relationship.
Sure. I mean, yeah, if you guys find that happy medium, you know, that's where compromise come in, which is, you know, a good number of advice to understand how to compromise, understand that you're getting into a relationship with somebody else. So it's not always going to be your way. You're going to have to find a middle ground where both of you can agree on certain things, and it can feel as if the relationship is equal between the two partners in it.
And on top of that, you know, going back to what you said about compromisation, if the person that in the early stages in the relationship, you know, the person that you are talking to is not willing to compromise, that is an immediate red flag for you to stop talking to that person. Because, you know, if you truly care about somebody or you truly want to see where something goes, you're going to be willing to be like, okay, maybe I am not really into the quality time so much, but you know what? This person really likes it. I'm going to give it a shot. If the person you're talking to is very unwilling to, you know, respect your boundaries or respect, you know, how you love, second piece of advice that I would give to everyone watching is that how the hardships in the relationship in the beginning is only going to get worse. if you're talking,
Such a grim stance, Jesus.
but no, it's true. Like if things are already starting off bad and you're arguing all the time and you're constantly butting heads and you can't wiggle around it, it's only gonna get worse.
See, my thing is, okay, so I want to get back to these red flags like later in the conversation, because that's like, I want to, steer the conversation into that. But I wanted to ask a second question. What are boundaries in a relationship and how do you set them? So, Jay, how do you normally set your boundaries and how do you go about it?
I don't think I'm the right person to ask that.
Jeez,
right? Because I most of my life, at least not most of my life. Let me not say that. Like as soon as, like after high school, when I became an adult in college and stuff like that, I date girls opposite of me. I'm still a schoolboy at heart. I'm into the books, the whole 9 yards. But I date hood girls, right? So I said hood girls. That's a red flag right there. That's a red flag right there. And so I red flags looking like Six Flags right now. Let me tell you that.
Okay.
But I do believe that, off rip, people need to state boundaries. People do. I don't care how much you love the person. I don't care how much you like that person. Unless you want to be respected and not taken for granted, I think you do need to start setting up them boundaries, especially at the beginning of all relationships, even if you're just being friends. Like,
to clarify what he means by boundaries, I don't think he's meaning in the sense that it's like, oh, I need my space, you need your space. I think you're just talking about like respect overall in the relationship of what somebody can and can't do.
Yeah, like things that'll jeopardize your frame without you, looking stupid.
Yeah. What about you, Overlord, over there? What do you think is, what do you think what are boundaries and how do you set them up in a relationship?
Oh, boundaries can come from many different places. It can come from either past trauma that you've dealt with, or maybe you are at a point in your life where you're kind of understanding who you are as a person and what you resonate with, or what you what's the word? For some reason I can't remember the word I'm trying to think of, but like what you can take in well. There's a word for it. Can't remember it. But so I guess like an example of a boundary would be like, maybe I don't like it when the person that I'm talking to is liking a bunch of pictures of other girls on Instagram. It's not an actual boundary that I have, but that's like an example. Or another boundary would be like, I like my alone time. This is an example from an ex that I have. My ex would like her alone time. And when it's her alone time, she just wants to be by herself. So I wouldn't intrude on that. Another boundary would be like, if we're arguing, I need to step away. Don't bother me. Let me step away. Let me calm my head. That's an actual boundary that I have. So how you set them is either in the beginning of the relationship when you're talking. It's always a good conversation to have. Every new relationship that I start, I say, okay, what are your boundaries and what can I do to make sure that I'm not overstepping on your boundaries? And how can I affirm them and make you feel safe in this relationship? That's a conversation I have all the time. And that's something I recommend everyone doing, because once you understand them in the beginning, it will stop like it will alleviate. I shouldn't say stop because it can always happen, but alleviate miscommunication later on.
I have a follow-up question to that though. I guess my follow-up question is, well then in that specific instance where you're talking about like, one of my boundaries is when I'm getting into an argument or whatever, like, oh, give me my space or just let me cool off. It's like, what supersedes what at that point? Because say that's how you go about things, but the person that you're with isn't like that and they're more active in trying to resolve the issue right then and there. Like, do you don't feel like that in and of itself is going to cause more problems? Because take for example, me and Sarah. Like, say Sarah was like that when she gets upset, I need my space. I need to cool down. It's like, okay, well, I want to fix the situation right now. I want to, be done with this and not have to deal with this anymore. I think that we should just talk about it right now and get it out the way right now. That's how I would go about it, because I don't like to waste time and shit. I just like getting to the fucking point. But at that point, who supersedes who? Like, why does your want to be by yourself supersedes my want to just resolve the conflict with you? Like, how would you go about answering something like that?
Do you want to go, Jay?
Can I?
Of course.
Thank you. So give an example, an actual example, actually. Homegirl, she could get mad. She get real mad. So she's one of those, if she's mad, she wants to be alone. And I don't care how close I am with her. She won't allow it. She doesn't like people seeing her mad, all that. So I think it comes down with the remember boundaries and a matter of respect of who they are. And I think it's just a matter of how we read things, right? Because we want to deal with the problem, right? We want to see the person we like or our friends, family. We don't want to see them angry. So we want to deal with the situation as fast as we can. But we also have to let it be known that, again, they're not going to be capable of communicating with you if they're angry, right? It could just make things worse, right? Because we might say something and they're not going to like it. And now they're getting angry even more. So I think the best initiative with that one is, let them have some cool off time. It's probably not going to last too long, 30 minutes, hour. Have them come back. And, I think you could probably get the best results when they have a cooled mind.
That doesn't answer my question.
Okay, well then let me answer your question.
How does that again, if I wanted to fix the situation, right? And I know that it's something that we can resolve if we actually just talk about it. Why does your want to cool off supersede my want to fix the problem?
Okay.
Where does the compromise lie between that?
All right. So I would answer that saying it's all relative. You have to address every situation as the situation itself. So depending on how severe the argument is, maybe your partner would be more willing to talk about it. But if it's something that, let's say, it's extremely triggering for them and they just need their space, sometimes you have to put the part of sometimes being in relationships is sometimes being a little uncomfortable for the greater good of the relationship. So what I mean by that is, okay, let's say, me and person A are in a relationship. Person A they like to talk about things right away. They want to clear things up as quickly as possible. They don't like to waste time. I like to have my alone time when I'm upset just so I can, the reason why I like my alone time is so I have enough time to process my emotions so I understand what I'm feeling, because if I talk about it in the moment, I am more likely to get extremely emotional, extremely upset, and it can cause the argument to be even worse. So I need my time to process what I'm actually feeling so I know how to address the situation. So if my partner keeps coming to me and saying, I want to talk about this now, it's not going to do any good. It's only going to make the situation worse. So let's say we have an argument where it's just I'm not that upset and they're more upset. I'm going to be okay, I'm willing to talk about it because I'm not as upset. But if I'm really upset, then maybe my partner would say, okay, let me give them some space.
But that right there shows the bias in the relationship, though. You just said it yourself. That's what I'm addressing, is that bias of if my partner is the one upset, then we'll talk about it. But if I'm really upset, then I need my space.
But that's the whole point of boundaries.
My thing would be,
so then how does your needs supersede my needs?
Exactly, but that's the tricky part. That's where the compromise comes into play. Because I am one of those people that believe love conquers all. And I also believe that arguments in a relationship are extremely normal. I think people should normalize arguments as long as it's not violent and it's not some mental abuse type of shit. But if y'all just having an argument and it's literally just an argument, I believe that the way that I would handle it is I would, shoot you a message, be like, look, I understand that we had an argument, regardless of how bad it was. I understand we had that argument, but I want you to know at the end of the day it was just a fucking argument. I love you. And I want to resolve this issue now because I don't want you to dwell on this anymore. It's not something that it has to be dwelled on. It's one of those things where it's how do you in the face of somebody declaring their love for you and how much they fucking love you and be like, you know what, regardless of the what would you do if somebody literally looked you in the eyes, all you guys are arguing, and be like, look, I understand that you're upset and I get that you're angry. And I get that we're having a horrible, nasty argument, but none of that changes how I feel about you. None of that changes the fact of I love you. You're my choice the way that I'm your choice. So let's just fucking resolve the issue now instead of letting it carry on longer than it needs to.
I understand that, and that's a very good point. But however, you're also taking away your partner's ability to process the situation, because it's all relative, right? You can tell your partner how much you love them, but if you said something that was extremely triggering and hurtful for them, depending on the situation, that might come off as manipulative. You say something extremely hurtful, and then right after, like, well, I love you, so it's all good.
Well, no, yeah, there's an asterisk on it. That's when it comes to shit like that, that's OD. You feel me? I can understand that.
So I just think at the end of the day, if your partner just needs a second to process their emotions, because not everyone is able to process their emotions at the same time. I'm the type of person where, you may not think it's healthy to dwell on situations, but I need that moment to dwell on. I write in a journal when I'm upset. I write things down, and when I write things down, it kind of like separates what's reality and what's fiction in my head. Because then sometimes when I write things down, I'm just like, okay, I realize, okay, maybe I shouldn't have been upset. Or when I write it down, I realize, oh no, wait, I should have been upset. So it's like when I have that alone time, I am better able to relate to my partner more. I can, maybe understand where they were coming from. Or maybe I can step back and say, you know what? I was right to be upset. And this is X, Y, and Z why I was upset. It takes me personally a little bit of longer time to process what I'm feeling in the moment. Because you know me very well. I'm a very emotional person. And when I see red, I will just go, 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 go. When I feel like either I'm being attacked or I feel like I don't have a space to just move away.
Well, that's the thing. Why would you feel attacked with somebody that you claim to love if you guys are having... That's the thing. I normalized arguing a long time ago for myself. I understand that it's hard to get into a relationship and not argue when it's two separate people with two separate lifestyles, two separate mindsets trying to come together, which I guess will bring up another great advice with somebody, with the viewers at home, which is, understand your end goals. Because in understanding your end goals with the person that you're with, you can normalize certain aspects of the relationship. Like, I understand the goals that I have with Sarah. I know where the relationship is going to lead to, and I know what my goals are. So by me understanding my goals with her, nothing can, no amount of arguing, regardless of what's being said and regardless of what will ever be said, will ever change that fact of my end goal is to be with her. My end goal is to, marry her or whatever the fuck my end goals are. So I feel like the only way that, that through that understanding, it's like no amount of arguing would ever change that aspect of that love that I have for you. That's a very deep emotional connection that you establish with someone right off the bat.
And, and I think that the reason why it works so well for you is because you've already established that. Not everybody is as in tune with their emotions that way. Not everyone is.
That's fair.
So it's just
fair.
When you and Sarah argue, she knows how you feel about her. That's because fair. you beat it in how much you love her all the time.
That's a fact. Please normalize telling your partner how much you love them every single day. Regardless of how they look, regardless of what they're dressed like, just normalize that shit.
I don't know about that.
What you mean?
I don't know about that.
You wouldn't want your girl, when you wake up, the first thing she tells you is, "Oh, baby, I love you. I just want you to know that you beautiful."
And I'm just looking at her listen, you got more than breath.
Damn. That's fucking wild. Yo, somebody's spilling their heart to you. The one thing you can think was, "Damn, bro, you're breathless, kid." You're
I love you too, but just from over there.
I love you from a distance, girl.
We're not doing that.
That's fucking crazy, dude. What the fuck?
Nah.
Yo, remind me never to take that shit off you, brother.
Nah, that's wild. But no, I mean, I guess. I mean, I do. Don't get me wrong. Don't just throw the term out there, because I think the whole love thing, I feel like it's getting watered down, right? Even in relationships, I really honestly feel like it get watered down to the point where, you're going to constantly say it and you're going to say it one day. And I'm not saying that the feeling's going to go, but at least for me, after a while, I'm going to really start thinking I say this a lot, it don't mean nothing to me.
Why would that not mean nothing to you?
The feeling doesn't go.
The love?
I don't. Jay is something else, bro.
Nah, like
I love that. I like that we put him in this
I'll
podcast.
forever like my homegirl. Like I'm gonna reference my homegirl this whole time. My homegirl, no, all right. I've told it to her twice already. Like I love her. She's an amazing human being. She's an absolute sweetheart. But I can't keep saying that shit. No, like again, I'm an action person. I'm an action person. Like if I do something, I have to do something for you. For me to be like, yo, I love you. Now I'm gonna prove it to you. Now I'm gonna do something for you and actually prove it.
I mean, that's good. You know, maybe it's because like I'm just a little bit different, and like my love language is like words of affirmation. Like I need to hear that, you know, because it's just like actions are nice, but maybe it's because I do things for people that are like my friends. Like for example, I will go the extra mile for Aaron or you or Oscar or Aldo. Like I will go the extra mile because, you know, you're my friend.
Sarah.
And you and Sarah are a package deal. When I mean you, when I say you, Sarah is automatically in that conversation. But like when I need to hear that my partner loves me, you know, and I think that's why, you know, the last person who I was talking to while we were butting heads so much is because I didn't hear it enough. And, you know, that was just how they were. And you know, I think, and I totally respect that, Jay. I think everybody expresses their love differently. And as long as your partner knows, your homegirl. As long as homegirl
Can't wait
knows.
to meet homegirl.
Right? As long as she understands, as long as she feels it and she knows by your acts of service, and it's perfectly fine. It just comes down to the end of the day, you know?
Let's be real here, right? She calls me Nuggie. Right,
She calls me
Nuggie. Like
why would you admit that on the podcast, bro?
Cute ass name.
Nah, because it's
not your 6'4" ass being called Nuggie.
6'4" thug ass like being called cute names and shit.
You're a chicken tender, not a nugget, bro.
I'm a whole nugget. I don't know what the fuck you talking about. The name's been finalized. I signed papers and all and shit like that.
Jay Nuggie.
That's a fact.
That's a fact. Nuggie. Oh my god!
Yo, it's the first time I ever got a nickname.
Oh, that's cute.
It's the first time ever. Out of all the times I've dated and shit like that.
No wonder he's so attached to it. He's like, this is my first time,
That's a fucking fact. I'm her problem now. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a
damn. Jesus fucking Christ, yeah. Bro. All right. So now that we established all this, you know, I do wanted to come back to a point that you brought up earlier. Clinginess. Because you hear that, bro, I'm telling you, you want to talk about a word. Hold up. You want to talk about a word that gets overused. Clingy gets overused. Why? Because it's literally such a subjective and vague term that anybody can throw around. Like here's an example. If I want to hang out with Sarah and Sarah does not want to hang out with me for whatever fucking reason, she could just throw that term right there. Oh, bro, you're just being clingy. You're just being clingy. I think the word clingy is so overused and such a fucking cop-out for some people who just don't know how to show affection and don't want to commit to being in a relationship. It's like, why get into a relationship if you're not going to be spending time with that person? There, again, you must realize that end goal. And if you're like, imagine the end goal for you being marriage. How the fuck are you going to look at your significant other and be like, yeah, you're clingy after you've been like, committed to holy matrimony? At that point, there should be no barriers. There should be no blockades.
Your partner's supposed to be your best friend, you know? So
yeah, you're like, literally supposed to bro, I can't. That shit mind boggles me because it feels like people want to have the benefits of being in a relationship without actually committing to it. Like, love is a commitment. So like by understanding that, I wanted to know, like, where would you draw the boundaries for clinginess? Like, how do you say that somebody's clingy?
So I'm gonna say it like this, right? I'm gonna say one thing and I'm gonna lead it on to answering your question. Because for the most part, a lot of guys say, yo, I want me a clingy girl, and not know what that comes with. Right? No, I mean this in a at most respectful way, right? A lot of guys be like, yo, I don't mind if my girl clingy. And then when they're up under them 24/7, right? You know, 25/8.
Man's be in the bathroom taking a shit and be like, man, you in there?
That's right. You're getting texts all the time, right? You miss a text, yo, she already thinking, oh, this man cheated on me, right? You know, that the idea of being clingy or smothering comes with territory, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. Right? And to answer your question about the whole, how wouldn't you want someone with you all the time? sometimes I want my alone time, right? We're different human beings. We're different, right? I'm going through shit. You know, homegirl probably going through something. She's probably fighting for her life.
Fighting demons out here.
I wouldn't know. So everyone needs that, you know, that alone time away from someone, right? To actually think. You know, they can lose feelings. That person still love you the same day that person found out that they love you from the first day, right? Feelings are still there. They just need some time apart. And I think that's fine. Don't get me wrong. You know, if it's like 3 days, a week, we broke up officially. Nah.
See, that is, son, that is such a, bro, that is such a great point. It's like that whole entire idea of like, we need space. Where do you draw the boundaries in we need space? I don't believe in space at all in a relationship.
I will give
feel
my
like,
partner an hour of space.
bro, that's the thing.
You get 1 hour, that's it.
I don't
1
fuck
hour.
with that. I don't fuck with that space thing because I feel like that adds an unnecessary boundary to shit. Like people in relationship would set up these unnecessary boundaries because they want to perceive it because they've been told by other people that this is what a healthy relationship is. When in reality, your relationship is your relationship. You make it the way that you want to make it. It's completely customizable between you and your significant other.
Build a relationship.
Yeah, you build the relationship the way you want to build a relationship. But being there and like doing this shit where it's like you're just believing the echoes that other people are telling you about how your love should be like, which is funny. Because it'll be the same people that are single that are also telling you these crazy ass advice about like oh your relationship should be like this, your relationship should be like that. Well, why you guys always up each other's asses?
Or I'm not pointing at you specifically, Jay.
She targeted my ass.
No, I'm just pointing in the general direction because I have another point to add to that. Not only is it people who are single who give like a lot of stupid advice, but like people who like, and I don't want to single out guys in this situation, but guys who are like in love with their homeboys who would do more for their guy friends than they would do for their relationship. Like,
bro, that's homosexual. Stop hating on the homies. You gotta
is
love
real.
your bros
like,
out
yeah,
here.
you can love your bros. I'm not saying like love your bros all y'all want, but
Yo,
it's just
Jay,
like
you looking like a fucking snack.
Submissive and breedable.
Like, you can't say that on the air.
I didn't curse. And I didn't say the words.
I just want to. Nigga, show the cameraman. Please show what you wrote on that whiteboard.
What you wrote?
That's tough.
That's tough. We can't say that on the airwaves.
It's an inside joke, people. But the point that I was trying to make, you know, when like guys who like cancel plans with their girlfriends just so they can hang out with their guys, or if they're constantly spending more time with their guy friends than their partners, like that is what I don't like. Like how.
See,
and
I'm gonna say some wild shit.
Let her finish.
Like it's fine. Like y'all are on Xbox all the time together. That's one thing. But it's like if your girl's just like, hey babe, you know, I want to like hang out with you today. I feel like we haven't spent time with each other. You know, it's really affecting me. And the dude's just like, oh no, like you know, I'm hanging out with my boys today.
For the boys.
Like the Saturdays for the boys or some stupid shit like that. You know, it's like that kind of mentality is stupid.
But you don't feel like being in a relationship, a man. The guy can still be homosexual. You don't feel like guys could just be homosexual with each other?
Aaron, you are the biggest homosexual I've ever met in your
Bro,
life.
you gotta love your boys out here because a lot of your boys ain't getting love out here.
And that's
you gotta give
fine,
them that love.
But that's not what I'm talking about.
Bro, to all my homies that are not getting love out there, I love you. Fuck out of here. I love you.
lying.
And that's perfectly fine, but you know that's not what I'm talking about. The relationship, when the relationship crash and burn, all you got in your homies. But and like our cameraman said, jerk each other off. You know, I don't know what you guys do.
Circle jerk.
Y'all can't say that on the airwaves.
Why can't we say that on the airwaves? Why can't we say jerk each other off?
If we don't get sponsored by Manscaped, there's gonna be a scene.
Y'all can manscape after you guys jerk each other off.
That's a little circle jerk.
Finish your boy.
Forget doing it after you jerk each other off. It's a couple thing now. You do it with your homies. Your homies jerk you.
That's crazy.
This is a freaky territory.
Like I was saying, you know, like if you have to find a balance between your friends and your partner.
You're right.
And like there are men out there, I can't even say men, little ass boys who
Extra
put their,
spicy.
Spicy.
who say like, oh, like she's just my girlfriend, you know, and she
She's
kind of
just my girlfriend.
like she's just like the girl I'm talking to. Like
You know, I wasn't,
Jeez.
you know, geeking over her for like 6 months to date me. She's just a girlfriend. That's
exactly.
It.
That's what I'm saying. So it's just like, you know, men out there, please find the balance. You can be homosexual, but also be your girlfriend sexual.
Your girlfriend's sexual.
I will say this, right? Because I know guys, you know, especially dudes that play games and stuff like that. The one thing I hate, and I've seen it a few times where they invite their girl over and stuff like that. They be at their crib and then the guy's playing a game and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, yo, bro, your girl chilling. Yeah, that's a fact.
Yo, I'll give your girl the attention. Fuck out of here.
Right? And they get mad when I'm in her DMs. Like, nah, you put this on yourself.
Exactly.
This is she mine now.
Nah. It's all about the bros. Bros before the... I can't even say that on
Don't
here.
you dare say it.
I'm not even going to say it, but
Before
insert the
respect
quote
for
here.
Women, come on now.
Bros,
Yeah,
Thank you,
respect the
Aldo.
women out here.
If for the audience at home, if you hear a man young behind me, that's most definitely Aldo. He did not disappear off the ether. He will be back for the next episode.
I'm locked up. I was punished the last episode.
Jesus.
they didn't like I spoke the truth.
Well, yeah, you know, to wrap that whole entire thing up, I think that whole entire clean thing is very subjective. I think that people use it as a cop-out, as an excuse for not wanting to commit to the relationship. And I think that that's a nice little way of ending that little segment.
And I think a very nice segue into maybe our final point, which are red flags.
Yes, red flags. Okay.
Oh yeah, the
This
ones that look
is-
like Six Flags. I love those.
This is a very heavy topic, mostly because it's like, you know, red flags are very like, it's your perspective type of things. Like what one person will find as a red flags, others won't.
Yeah, they're very subjective.
Yeah, it depends on, again, the type of love that you're looking for. And I can't stress enough that people need to establish the kind of love that they're looking for. You need to understand that.
Bestie, what's some red flags that you got?
Are you calling me bestie?
Yeah.
Okay.
All those not on the mic, so you have to take his place. Wow.
Our cameraman just informed us if she wait. What does it say? If she doesn't like trains, she ain't for me. That's how you, bro. There you go, ladies. Now you know how to get our cameraman.
Wait, what kind of trains though? Because if you don't like getting a train run,
Jay.
we'll just move on. Never
Can
mind.
you tell he be chilling in the hood, bro? Oh my god.
Jesus.
Damn. But okay, some red flags that I have. If your partner is okay with not speaking to you all day. And what I mean by that is like if they text you good morning and then you don't hear from them until the next day, that's a red flag.
Yeah, don't text me good morning and I don't reply and you don't reply
Exactly.
back like 4 hours later. I'm cutting you off.
Yeah, exactly. If you can go a whole day
Wildin'.
without talking to me, I can go the rest of my life without talking to you.
Nah, you can't say wow and you told me you love me countless amount of times. This ain't love.
Facts.
This is jail.
Another red flag I would have, if somebody kind of like disappears like throughout the day, where it's just like, oh, like I'm going to so and so's place, and like you don't hear from them, especially if it's somebody.
And then
who-
you see it on their social
on
media.
their social media.
that they're like doing something. It's like,
wow, sus. Like I
Bro,
have I have a story. Oh my god.
story
I have a couple
They
stories.
turned
and that's
their
why
location off. Like, what?
they turned their location off. Let me tell you something. So I was dating this girl, right? And she told me that she was, you know, going out with her friends and it was going to be something low key. I did not hear from her the entire day. And then one of my close friends was on her friend's close friend story on Instagram. You know, the close friend story on Instagram.
Yeah.
Sent me screenshots of my ex-girlfriend's friend's close friend story. Bro, they were out drinking and having a good time. And like, it's the mere principle. Like, I was like, I have no problem with my partner, you know, going out and having a good time. But like, if you're just going to lie about it and like, you know, say that like, oh, you know, it's gonna be low key, like we're not gonna drink, we're not gonna do this, and then like you go and do that, that's like a red flag.
Damn, you almost took one of my red flags. I just want to get it out there just so nobody takes it. My first red flag is if she can't vibe with my mom. Absolutely,
Definitely.
Bro. If she can't vibe with my mom, bro, I don't want her. Like, I've been with people who just didn't vibe with my mom, and it's like, bro, that absolutely sucks because my mother is a beautiful fucking person, and she does nothing but want to, like, give her love and affection and be there as, a role model to whoever I'm with. And if a girl that I'm with can't vibe with that, with, like, the idea of just, like, hanging out with my mom, chilling with my mom, talking to her, being there with her, like, actually developing a relationship with my mother, I don't want to. I can't.
I don't. Was there actually a girl that didn't vibe with your mom? Hey, your mom's a sweetheart. Like that's mom.
That's the
mom.
crazy part. My
Like,
mom is a
he's
fucking
mom number 2 to me.
His mom
my
is
mom
so
is
beautiful.
a sweetheart, and the fact that there are people.
Mom, bro.
Shout out to
Shout
Aaron's
out to my
mom.
mom. The fact that there are people there that couldn't. The fact that I was with people that couldn't vibe with my mom is insane because my mom just like literally does nothing but. Bro, my mom will bake you a pie. That's the type of mom that she is. She will literally bake you a pie. Although in the background just went fucking wild because he know my mom pies be slapping, bro. She would literally bake you a pie. How can you not vibe with somebody like that? That's insane.
Yeah, and to relate to your point, another red flag for me is if my dad doesn't like you. And like that's like a thing where it's just like, oh, but dads never really like their partners. Like my dad has been right about every terrible person I've ever dated that have ever done me wrong. My dad has been right every single time. So now it's to the point where it's just like, before things get serious, I introduce them to my dad.
Bro, remind me of that point that I want to get back to that she just said, because I want to hit it with another red flag. My second red flag that you almost took that I was kind of worried was that whole entire thing where it's like, fuck, I just had it in my head. What was that second part that you said about your red flags?
If you're like what her dad doesn't
No,
vibe
it
with
was the
her.
one before that.
Oh, when, you know, they go out and they're drinking.
Bingo. Okay, so, you know.
Ghosting?
No, not ghosting. If you're in a relationship, you know damn well that you're not supposed to be in certain places.
Definitely,
so if you in a relationship and you in a strip club or you like in a club at all doing some crazy, like, bro, I don't understand why people who are married and why people who are in a relationship would like even attempt to jeopardize their relationship like that.
Is going to the strip club considered cheating?
Yes. Why do you want to lap dance? Why do you want to lap dance from another woman that's not your girl?
Because
I mean, if you have permission, and that's relative to relationship.
That's something you would have to talk to your significant other about. If your significant other is okay with it, then sure.
You said you didn't want to be part of this podcast.
I asked my wife.
No. He brought up a great point. If your significant other is okay with it, then fine. You know, but you have to get that consent from your significant other. But if you just out of nowhere, like if I text you and you reply, "Oh, I'm in the club." Like, that's a no-no. I can't fuck with that and I can't vibe with that because it's like you have absolutely no respect for relationships because I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't go anywhere to jeopardize my relationship or do anything to jeopardize my relationship. And some people out there really feel like they're privileged enough to do that.
Bring a permission slip to the strip club saying my wife could I could come here.
Yo, low-key, honestly, like, you're laughing at that, but it's like, bro, like, again, people need to stop feeling like when they're in a relationship, it's all about them. When you're in a relationship, it's not about you anymore.
Jay has some things to say about that.
Sure, he'll say whatever he gotta say, but I'm gonna make my point right now. If you're in a relationship, you are no longer an individual. It's no longer about you like that.
Period.
You're with somebody. It's no longer about you. It's about you and somebody else. So you have to take that other person in consideration. And if that person isn't okay with anything, if you're that person isn't okay with you doing certain things, then you gotta respect that shit in the relationship. It's not just guys that do this thing. It's also females. Females do it too. Everybody does this shit. And the people who do this shit tend to be the most self-absorbed, most cocky, arrogant sons of bitches out there.
Yeah, it's very, very true. I dated a guy who was very much like that, where he was just like, well, you know, I was an individual, you know, before I met you, and that's fine. Like, I think it's important to keep.
I was my own person before you were my own person after you.
It's always good to keep your identity in a relationship and keep some type of form of individualism. However, when you are in a relationship with the intent of marriage one day, not like you just talking to this person for fun.
That's a fact.
Like, if you're talking
oh my God.
because like marriage especially is something where it's just like you are no longer your own person. You become become
That
one.
is you, yeah.
Then you
You're
are
literally
one person.
merging you, your family, your significant other, and their family
Exactly.
together, and you build this identity around them being there.
I
now.
look at like my parents' relationship, right? Where it's just like maybe my father is the reason why I have like such high standards now for men, because it's like my dad would literally do everything for my
right
mother.
there.
Like my dad, like when I tell you my dad would do everything for her and like no questions asked, that's where like it's like now I just don't let guys get away with certain shit anymore.
If there's another fucking advice I can give to people, standards. Enough with this shit though. You can't judge somebody. Because if you judge them, they could judge you. Yes, that's how it works. It's reciprocal.
Precisely.
You have to have standards for what you want and the person that you're with. Because if you have no standards at all, you're always going to attract the most shittiest people out there. Because you got nothing to base them off of.
You know,
most people base the people that they're with off their parents. That's like an actual psychological thing that people, like males, tend to want to find females that reminds them of their mom without being a weird thing, but the good qualities that they exhibit from their mom, and vice versa for the females. You know, the females want to find somebody that reminds them of their dad. If they're straight, if they're not straight, you know, it depends. Whoever you jive with the most, that's who you're gonna want to look for in a significant other, whether it be your mom or your dad.
You know what's crazy, right? So now that you bring up the idea of standards, it's gonna seem like I'm attacking guys and stuff like that, but I mainly see it for them, right? Because a lot of guys are like, "Yo, girl standards are too high," right? And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. You know, like their standards are too high, but at the end of the day, a lot of guys would jeopardize their standards or their frame and lower it just to get something out of it, right? They're adhering to things that aren't who they are. They're not them. That's not them. So they're changing who they are as a person. And in the long run, it's not going to work out, right? So, and yes, the whole thing could be taken on both sides. Both have standards, but a lot of the guys, and I will speak for mostly the guys, that we need to withhold who we are as a person. And either you increase your standards so that people can respect you, or, you know, you're gonna be in this vicious cycle of, you know, disappointment.
Yeah, and to add to that point, where it's just like sometimes both men and women do this, where they will complain about some men will complain about, oh, you know, all women want is money and to use me, and then women would complain, well, all guys want just sex and, you know, just to be misogynistic. Where I was just like, you know, sometimes you just gonna have to raise your standard. If all the women that you're dating are like materialistic and only want money from you, what does that say about you and the type of women that you're going after? Because not all women are like that. And then the same with women. If all the men that you're dating are misogynistic, or all they want is sex, or they're just toxic, what does that say about your standards? You know, as adults, sometimes we have to take responsibility for the energy that we're putting out and the people that we're dating. You know, it's fine. It's in high school is different. In high school, you know, you can't help sometimes with, you know, date the toxic person or just be in a shitty relationship because you don't know any better. You have no dating experience. But as an adult, and you go through the world and you're meeting different types of people, you have to take that responsibility. You know, you can't blame anyone but yourself if, you know, you're only attracting one type of person. What do you have to do for yourself to change the dating pool that you're in?
Yeah, because a lot of the times, like, you know, you can tell someone's intentions in the first month, right?
100%.
A lot of you guys are 4 months in a relationship, and now you're starting to see like, oh, this person ain't it. But it's like, you could have saw that from the first month. You put yourself through this. Oh, she only want me for my money. Well, what did you do for her to do that? I know you took her out on that $1,200 date.
Exactly.
That's your fault.
Like, are you flashing your car? Are you flashing your bank account? Like, if you're flashing all these types of things, and then like, of course you're going to attract women who want those things. It's like, you know, Aaron brought up a good point earlier. It's just like, you know, if you cover yourself in blood and go into the fucking Sahara Desert and be surprised that a bunch of lions are trying to get at you, you know, what else are you going to do? Like, if you want, you can't like put out a type of persona.
Let me put context to that. We were having this discussion off camera, right? Because we were kind of just like firing off like some brain, like not brainstorming, just like kind of direction that we wanted to go for this podcast. But my thing is, I love when people say these things where it's like, bro, I don't know why these things happen to me. Why? It's because you're projecting that shit out there. Again, if you go to the jungle, or you go to like fucking wherever the fuck there's lions, and you bathe yourself, and you literally have like meat carcasses hanging off you, why are you gonna be surprised if a lion jump out and bite your ass?
I mean, okay, so I feel like you're just that's a bad comparison, honestly, for what the context required, right?
What do you mean?
Because the whole thing, because what you talk about the conversation we had this like earlier, right? The whole thing where
it's just that the idea in general is just like, like people need to like take responsibilities for their own actions and stop being like so surprised when something goes a specific way, when it's like that's what you're putting out there, when that's like the energy that you're looking for.
That's a fact. You put it out there like, oh, like I'm pretty sure if y'all guys are on TikTok and stuff like that, and there's like some pretty attractive girls on there.
100%.
And in comments you'll be like, oh man, I couldn't hear the audio inside of my Maserati car and stuff like that because it was synced to the Bluetooth. And I was like, I get it, that's a joke, but there are people who are out there like that, and I'm like, yo, if that's what you're painting, don't be surprised if you get those gold diggers. That's your fault, bro.
Exactly.
That's your fault.
It's and I don't want to like shame men who have a lot of nice things, because especially if you come from a situation where you never had a lot of nice things and all of a sudden you're doing well for yourself and you have that nice car and that nice house and the nice bank account and you want to like show the world, but it's just like, you have to kind of like find that balance, because if you're just showing it off and just giving it to every attractive woman that comes your way, you're going to attract women who may not be she may be physically attractive, but maybe not mentally, in her heart, she might not be the right person for that. So what you have to do, like as a woman, and I'm talking to men right now, is reserve that kind of attention for a woman who not only presents herself maybe how you like physically, but how you like mentally, how you like her emotionally. You have to reserve yourself.
Remember, like, they don't see what you did to get to where you was at. What they see is you're already established. That's it. Right? They ain't see that you was broke. They ain't see that you probably had like $36 in your bank account and you read like a few books to get some knowledge, stuff like that. They ain't see that.
Yeah, they didn't see the strange shit you did for the change in that alleyway one time. No, I'm kidding.
What? Wow. What? Right. So remember, like, again, going back to the initial topic at hand, have some standards. Your standards is probably, your loophole for your standards is probably going to be low, but that low amount of people that's in your standards is probably going to be the one that's going to see it in long term.
Yeah, that's a fact. Honestly, I feel like people should understand like the difference between loving somebody because you're attracted to them physically versus actually loving somebody because you connect with them.
100%.
That's a hard thing to learn.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between having crushes and like actually being in a relationship.
I always say it like this, because a lot of people, because I was able to move on from our relationships really quick, right? Because I don't care. The one thing I tell people, I'm like, do you love the person or are you just attached to them? Right? There's a clear difference.
Or infatuation.
Yeah. There's a clear difference between you actually loving a person and you just wanting their presence. And I think a lot of people, especially younger people, right, and young adults, as around our age, I still think we don't understand those two concepts or to able to distinguish the two. So we're just filling in things with unnecessary stuff, thinking that they're going to change anything or fix stuff.
Exactly. And our generation has a really bad ADHD when it comes to relationships, where it's just like,
everybody's so self-absorbed.
Everyone is so self-absorbed, and it's just like they're so like attached to the physical. They always want somebody that looks a certain way, or maybe they dress a certain way, or they act a certain way. But people don't realize that stuff fades. If you cannot see yourself with this person, okay, so I'm talking to like the men right now. If you're going to be with someone from a long time and your wife, she gets pregnant, are you able to be with her if she gains 30, 40, 50 pounds after being pregnant? Are you still going to be okay with it?
Yeah, because then they got that stomach stuff going on and stuff like
that. Are you still going to be
nice
attracted?
Soft tummy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I'm not even just talking to you. I'm just talking to the men in the audience who are listening right now. Are you still going to be okay with that? Are you going to be okay in 50 years where maybe she's not as physically beautiful? To the women who are listening right now, are you going to be the guy with that 6-pack? Are you going to be okay when he's 40 years old and he has that beer gut? Or are you going to be okay when his hairline recedes? Like, you have to understand.
Yeah. No, continue. Sorry.
It's just like beauty fades, and you have to make sure that the love that you have for your partner, it goes beyond just a physicality, but it has a spiritual and mental and emotional presence as well, because those are the only things that are going to be left when it's all said and done.
I'm glad that she saved that whole entire thing, because for a moment there, it's like she was writing the beginning of like the incel manifesto all over again. But she saved it she started saving it as she kept talking, which I'm glad. I guess like.
But before you go on, I just want to make something clear now that you said that. Yes, physical attraction is important. You want to be able to like the person that you're with physically. However, you do have to realize that, beauty fades. And at some point, you're going to have to be okay when the beauty is not going to be what it is in 30 years as it was 30 years ago.
Beauty fades, but plastic surgery stays. I don't know what I don't know what you talking about.
You are a very lovely addition to this podcast, Jay.
Surgery is forever.
So, I guess after everything that's been said, I think that we had a great conversation about it. I think there was a lot that everybody said. Hopefully you, the viewer at home, found some of these advices useful. Thank you for watching. Stay perfectly imperfect, and hopefully you find the love out there that you're looking for.
Yeah, because I'm still trying to find them. I'm trying to figure out why she don't want me. So I hope you guys find someone.
Bro, facts. But ladies and gentlemen, that was the Sorta Dead podcast. Have a wonderful rest of your day.